All right, thank you, Anton. And on to the last talk of this session. We have Understanding Archives Space Governance. Engagement is impactful. So we have a lot of speakers on this talk, and I won't be reading any bios, but our speakers include the following: Maggie Hughes, Matthew Neely, Bridget Almas, Linda Hocking, Weatherly Stephen, Erik Mitchell, Kate Crowe, Michelle Paquette, Nadia Nasr, and again, Katerina Dimitriadou Shuster. All right, I'm handing it over to Maggie or whoever is up first.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into our session today. Understanding ArchivesSpace Governance Engagement is Impactful. I'm Maggie Hughes, and I'll introduce myself more in a bit. So here's our agenda. We're going to review roles and responsibilities of the governance board, introduce board members and council chairs, discuss recent board and council initiatives and discussions, and we'll see if we have any time for questions at the end, and we'll wrap up. So the purpose of the governance board is to provide leadership for the archive space community and advise Lyrasis on ongoing development and support of archive space. The board does things like set membership policies, review and approve budgets and resource allocation, advise on program initiatives, focuses on meeting the needs of broad and diverse archival institutions in a balanced and equitable manner. And this includes the Diversity Partnership, a program in its fifth year and second cohort. And the board meets quarterly throughout the year. The fiscal year runs July through June, so we're nearing the end of a board year. And in our board meetings, we cover a variety of topics. Some of our standing agenda items are things like operations reports, financial reports, and budget reviews and approvals, updates from councils and committees, and following up on action items. And growing and sustaining member institutions and organizations is a key priority of the board also. And this includes, our regular organizational members, but also our educational program membership and consortium providers. So the board has 5 elected members. Each one of those elected members represents one of the 5 ArchivesSpace membership categories. And then there's also one member from each founding partner institution. That's New York University and University of California, San Diego. And one standing ex officio representative from Lyrasis Senior Management. And then I'm also a second ex officio, which is a non-voting member right now as chair. So we're very excited and lucky to have all of our board members here today, so you can at least briefly meet them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they can also say, a little bit about their experience with ArchivesSpace or serving on ArchivesSpace Governance. And we'll go in order of the names on the slide. So we'll start with Matthew, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Matthew Neely, and I'm Senior Archivist for Systems and Metadata at the Bodleian Libraries, University of Oxford. And I've been on the board since 2024, and I'm currently the Vice Chair for this year. And I've also been on the User Advisory Council before in the past, and I've been working with ArchivesSpace since 2018.
Great. I'm Kate Crowe. I'm the large representative for University of Denver. Our institution has been with ArchivesSpace since the very beginning, since 2013. And also shout out to Kevin Clare, who migrated us into it and who served on, you'll hear more about them in a minute, but Technical Advisory Council and User Advisory Council. And then also Beth Mahoney, who took over a lot of Kevin's responsibilities, is now on Technical Advisory Council. So DU is very committed to ArchivesSpace and ArchivesSpace governance. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning from the California coast. My name is Nadia Nasr. I'm the head of archives and special collections at Santa Clara University. I've been here since 2015, and we have been using ArchivesSpace since probably about 26, well, actually 2015 technically, but we moved to our own instance from a California Digital Library hosted instance in around 2016 or so. I don't do as much work directly with ArchivesSpace as the department head. Our archivist and archives specialist do a lot of that work, but yeah, I guess that's it for me.
And so until recently, the small representative seat was filled by Jared Cowing since 2024, but he recently stepped down from the board due to a job change. So this seat will be up for election this spring. And Linda, can you introduce yourself? Oh, maybe Linda's not here. Um, I will introduce her or say her information. So Linda Hocking is an archivist at Yale University. She's the representative for the very small category. She's been on the board since 2023. She was originally elected into the very small category when she worked at another institution. So that is why she's the very small representative.
I am here, Maggie.
Oh,
Sorry,
you
I
are.
didn't,
I'm so sorry.
I was here. I don't know, somehow I got the wrong link, but I just wanted to add to what you said, so when I was starting in this position, I was at the Litchfield Historical Society, and there we had adopted ArchivesSpace in 2013. And I was at the time on the User Advisory Council. And I just want to give out a plug for joining any of the ArchivesSpace boards. It was a really great way for me as a solo archivist, which I still am here at the Yale Law Library, to meet colleagues who are doing the same kind of work I was doing, because there was no one else at my institution doing that work. So in addition to being able to contribute to the community, you'll also be able to meet a lot of colleagues and make a good network for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And our founding partners, Weatherly.
Hi, I'm Weatherly Stephan. I have been at New York University since 2015, and that's when I started using ArchivesSpace. But as maybe you can guess from NYU being a founding partner, we've been using the system, actually developed it and using it since its earliest existence. And I'm part of a team at NYU that helps administer the system for NYU special collections, and I also coordinate with smaller institutions in New York City who are part of NYU's library consortium.
And hi, everybody. Erik Mitchell here. I'm the university librarian at UC San Diego and a founding partner, board member. The founding partners are, as Maggie said, the organizations that helped the initial development of ArchivesSpace. And we still serve a limited but I think useful role, ensuring that membership always drives the direction of this shared platform. And before I hand it back to Maggie, I'll just say, as the past chair of the board, I'm the current chair of the nominating committee. And so you will be getting emails from me in the coming weeks asking you to serve, and just really encourage you to serve. Just a huge +1 to what Linda shared. This is an incredible board. The TAC and the UAC are incredible engagement opportunities, and just encourage you to think about that. Thank you.
So I'm Maggie Hughes. I'm the Manager of Special Collections Processing and Cataloging at the Getty Research Institute. I'm the current chair. I'm non-voting because I was elected originally as a medium representative, and then I changed positions. So when I was already in a leadership position, we've since changed those bylaws. So now a board member can continue in their position. But that's why I'm non-voting. And I previously served on the Technical Advisory Council, and I've just found it really gratifying to be part of an organization that so many archivists use in their day-to-day work and see it evolve and grow. It's also been very helpful for me in my positions to have sort of a deeper understanding of ArchivesSpace and how it develops and all the systems that go into that. Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget Almas. I am Director of Operations for Community Supported Technologies at Lyrasis. And in that role, I oversee the organizational home. As Maggie mentioned, Lyrasis maintains an ex officio seat on the ArchivesSpace Governance, so that's the seat I fill. And Lyrasis has been the organizational home for ArchivesSpace since the beginning. And in that function, we provide organizational infrastructure to support the sustainability and the operations of ArchivesSpace, all supported by member revenue.
So you're probably all aware that ArchivesSpace has two councils, the Technical Advisory and the User Advisory Council. And those are comprised of appointed members with no more than 17 people per council. And the councils provide essential community engagement and investment in ArchivesSpace. We have some council leadership representatives with us today. Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, folks. I'm Michelle Paquette. I'm the metadata archivist at Smith College. I've been on TAC since 2023. I'm the vice chair this year. Regina couldn't be here today, so I'll be stepping into the chair role next year. And I also have participated in the testing and tech docs subteams in my role.
And I'm Katerina Dimitriadou Shuster. If you were here before the break, you probably know that I'm the director for archival technical services at Cornell University Library, and I'm also the chair of UAC, the User Advisory Council, for this term. I began my involvement with ArchivesSpace community as part of the Member Match program in 2022, when I suddenly became the instance's service owner, and I had a lot of questions and a very steep learning curve. I've since participated in a number of virtual forum planning task forces and joined the Users Advisory Council in 2025. All the different capacities have let me know how ArchivesSpace works, and it was very interesting. And great experiences for me, a great way to meet lots of great colleagues, get involved, and contribute to the community.
Thank you both. So we wanted to spend a little bit of our time sharing some of the recent initiatives of the board and councils. So I'm going to hand it over to Matthew to talk about the board's work on a strategic roadmap and AI discussions. And then Bridget will talk about the update to the Lyrasis organizational home model.
Everyone. So developing and launching the strategy has been a major focus of the board's work over the past 18 months. And we're really excited to be now sharing it more widely with the community. And many of you may have already seen Maggie's blog post from December 2025 introducing the roadmap. And this is just a brief overview of the strategy, but if you want to see the full publicly available version, the QR code on the slide will take you directly to the ArchivesSpace website. So the strategy is built around several key areas, which you can see on the slides, and these reflect both ongoing priorities and opportunities for future growth over the next 4 years. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of key things and discussions that the board have worked on recently in relation to the strategy. Two really important areas are technology sustainability for the application and also growing the ArchivesSpace community, particularly internationally and outside the US. And both of these are closely linked, and some of the board's recent work has focused on these. And in particular, at our May meeting last year, we reviewed some proposals to support the program team with a couple of new roles that were filled late last year. So the standards and testing archivist to help work with community groups and the program team in maintaining and improving support for metadata standards, especially international standards like ISAG, and some of the work of that has already started to bear fruit. And also helping support documentation and testing as well, which is both really important for all our users. And the second role, junior developer, to focus on user-facing development within the application. And both of these roles were funded thanks to, firstly, the very strong financial position of ArchivesSpace, which really reflects how the membership model is sustaining the application for all our benefits, and also with the kind of help of the Lyrasis CST Strategic Growth Fund, and those kind of really two key roles in pushing the strategy forward. I'm also going to talk about very briefly AI, which is a topic that's on everyone's kind of agenda at the moment and is impacting us all in various ways in our working lives. So obviously, AI is a very fast-moving and complex area, and it's something the board has recently been discussing, and we've had 2 workshops facilitated by Lyrasis, which have been really useful, and we've been looking at ways in which AI is used across the archives field and in cultural heritage. Um, um, Obviously, there are many opportunities, and a few that we've discussed is could it support user discovery, for example, more conversational search experiences for users to help, especially for new users, to make archives more accessible? Can AI be used to support development and maintenance of the application itself, help with developers build new features, maintain the application? And we've also discussed whether AI could be built into ArchivesSpace as features or whether as a sidecar or plugin. So it's not actually directly part of the application, but is working alongside it via APIs. And also inevitably, we've looked at the risks associated with AI. There's a really big environmental impact, which I know is something our community cares about very much. Also, the significant costs that might be involved in using and adopting AI. And then the general questions around ethics and reputational risk and data bias, data use and transparency. But just to stress that the community has really been at the heart of the development of the strategy, and we're growing the application internationally. So we'll be sharing updates throughout the strategic plan, and we are really keen to hear from the community. So please do feel free to reach out to us. So I'll hand back to Maggie.
Thank you. Bridget.
Thanks, Maggie. Yeah, so I just want to talk really quickly about the work with the organizational home over the last couple of years. So just to reiterate, as the organizational home, Lyrasis provides fiscal information infrastructure, fiscal infrastructure, human resources infrastructure, and marketing facilities, but also serves as a partner in stewardship for ArchivesSpace and the other programs that are part of the home. And, this model started with ArchivesSpace and it has sort of grown up organically. We now have 5 programs in the home, but it really needed a deep look at things, how we're doing it, how it's priced, and how we can make sure to do it better. So the goals with the analysis and update that we did were really 2 really important ones. We needed to assess and refine and really clearly define the services that are provided by the home to make sure everybody understood what they were, and what success would look like. And we also wanted to align the cost structure with the core principles of transparent stewardship and the profit ethos to allow Lyrasis to offer the organizational home at cost, so that it's a core part of our mission, and we are charging the programs that are here exactly or as close to exactly what it costs us as we can. So the outcomes of this work were we have developed a really detailed services addendum for the associated with our organizational home agreement, and in that we articulate very clearly the scope, responsibilities, and success criteria for each of the 60 plus or so services that are provided in those core areas that I mentioned. And importantly, we now have a new transparent tiered cost model that's aligned with program lifecycle phases, and that resulted in reduction of fees paid to Lyrasis by each of the programs in the organizational home, including ArchivesSpace.
Thanks, Bridget. Michelle, would you like to share on behalf of TAC?
Sure. So some of the initiatives and discussions we've been having this year, we engaged with the CST Interoperability Project. This is run by Jessica Farrell. She joined a regular TAC meeting to discuss the project with us. And then we had a workshop December 3rd specifically in which TAC members participated in brainstorming and feedback. We've also started collaborating with Martha Tenney, as it says here, within a couple of the different sub-teams. And I can speak most closely about this myself from the testing perspective, since I sit on that sub-team. So it ties into that 4.2 release we've, having Martha embedded into that subteam and doing work with the release was really wonderful. She picked up a lot of running working sessions for us, helping guide us in the testing sessions through making these end-to-end tests, making it more clear to the user, to the tester, like what the test was supposed to accomplish. So it's been really great having her starting to be embedded in some of these different subcommittees. As I said, the testing subteam prepared for the 4.2 release, and there's a release candidate out. Hopefully that will be coming soon. And Regina has us kind of centered this term around the theme of plugins. So we've had presentations related to those from Valerie Adonisio, Themios, and Gregory Wiedemann. And as for our subteams, they're working a lot on streamlining processes and figuring out the collaborative work between the ArchivesSpace staff and the committee members to make those lines between who's responsible for what and how we can best complete the committee work with those team members embedded.
So for the User Advisory Council, what the User Advisory Council basically facilitates engagement with the member community, and the member community and the governance board is kind of like a communication conduit. UAC meetings are held monthly, and this year we also hosted a presentation with Jessica Farrell's interoperability project. We also held meet and greet introduction with the new developers that joined the ArchivesSpace team. And in regular meetings, when there's no other discussion, we tend to hold discussions about the various ways that the modules in ASpace are being used. Sometimes we pick something that's really popular, like digital projects, and sometimes we pick something more esoteric, or the ones that people don't know so much, like classifications. And the User Advisory Council is comprised of 3 sub-teams. The member engagement, which if you are involved in any of those projects, they are basically trying to bring the feedback of the members into the council and then pass it on to governance as much as possible. The user documentation team is working on updating and writing new documentation for the user manual, and the usability team develops recommendations on issues such as navigation and visual layout. And if you are here later today in the next session, there will be a presentation from the usability team that they will be discussing a project they've been working on into how to modify configuration options so you don't have to so you can use the staff user interface instead of the public user to modify the public user interface. That was convoluted, sorry. So that's it for us.
Thank you both. So, we're getting close to the end of our time, or we're over it actually, but I hope with this limited time this morning, we've been able to provide some insight into ArchivesSpace governance and its various facets and activities. We appreciate your involvement in any and all of them. And as a community formed around open source software, your engagement can and does have a direct positive impact on the software, its direction, and our community of users. I also put the ArchivesSpace mission on the slide as a foundational guide that provides alignment and shared purpose for ArchivesSpace governance. I feel like it's a very thoughtful and inspiring mission. If you'd like to get more involved with the councils or the board, be on the lookout for calls for nominations to the board, UAC, and TAC coming in the next month or two from Erik. There are always open spots on both councils every year, and this year the board will run elections for the large, small, and very small representative levels. So you might want to check your institution level on the ArchivesSpace website to see if you're eligible for any of the open seats. And then, I just want to say that the calls for nominations do come out annually in the spring. So if this year isn't the right year for you, I hope you consider volunteering in future years. That QR code takes you to the ArchivesSpace webpage about governance with more details. And I hope you all feel free to reach out to me, your board representative, or the ArchivesSpace home or council leaders if you have any questions. That's it.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, everyone. I know we are right at time. That was like perfect timing, by the way, with like 9 people presenting to manage that. That was really good. But we'll take a second just for questions if anyone would like to pop something into the Q&A. I know that there are a lot of really good resources and information that were just shared with you, and you can find a lot of that in the QR codes and things that were included in the presentation. And then again, with the event wiki, we'll make sure to include lots of links with the recording of this session. Want to make sure we leave plenty of time in case anyone's furiously typing. Julia asked, how are the calls for nominations communicated?
Those go out via email on the ArchivesSpace listserv, but then I've also seen them in the past on SAA listservs, at least. Erik, are you still here and do you know where else they go?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm going to rely on Christina. She has a list of all the places we reach out to. If you are interested in actually learning more before we send out that call, you're free to email me directly at etm@ucsd.edu and be glad to chat with you about the opportunities.
Thanks, Erik. Yeah, if you are not already registered for the ArchivesSpace user group listserv, I would say first do that. We'll always post those announcements internally to our member listservs. But yes, we do also share them out to some select sections within SAA, and then you can always find it on things like our blog and our LinkedIn. But it will definitely be communicated to our user group listservs. So anyone who is interested in news, sign up for those. Bree, and I see Kate, I see you're typing an answer, but Bree is asking about the time requirement for a board member.
That's a good question. There are 4 to 5 meetings a year. Each meeting is about 2 hours. And then prior to each meeting, there's some prep, reading the packet and preparing for the discussions. There's a little bit of board business that can come up via email in between meetings or special meetings, but that's rare, I would say. And then it depends on, I think a board term is 3 years. So over the course of those 3 years, you may serve on like a board task force or play a specific role, whether that's vice chair, chair, or a liaison with the councils. So those will add to the time commitment, but I would say, it's not a constant. It's more like it comes and goes. But I'm trying to think of an hour. Does anyone else have a guess for time commitment?
I don't know if my estimations are usually off in terms of like how many people came to a thing or like how long things take. I'd say 50 to 75 hours for like a standard non-leadership position. I'd say if you're chairing, I'm sure that the lift is more. But I haven't been chair, so I don't want to speak to that.
For UAC, it is maybe an hour for the monthly meeting, and whatever sub team that you're working on, you would just putting in a couple more hours for that. There usually is a meeting and then some work in between.
Any other questions?
Not seeing any other questions in the Q&A, so we will go ahead and wrap up. I'm speaking very slowly because this is always when the last question comes in, is when I start wrapping up. But thank you, everyone. Thank you to our board and our representatives from TAC and UAC for presenting today. And thank you to all of our other presenters for kicking us off for a great first session for the ArchivesSpace Virtual Member Forum. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this session now, but don't forget, in 2 hours or a little less than 2 hours, we're going to be meeting for our next session of the day. And then there's even more programming tomorrow. So if you haven't registered for those sessions, please do so. If you aren't able to join us again, we do have a survey for the forum that we would love for you to fill out that I know that some of our planning team members have shared in the chat. But hopefully I will see all of you again at some point, either later today or tomorrow. Again, thank